Hey everyone, Bo here, and today we're going to look at the business side of freelance art. So let's say that you have drawn a bunch of stuff and you want to get into the freelance art gig, but you don't really have any commissions coming through, and maybe you just don't know where to go. So I'm going to try to help you with that today. We're going to talk about how to conduct yourself as a businessman or businesswoman because it's about half, 50% of the art gig. A little bit about me. I've managed retail stores. I've been store manager, assistant manager. I've worked as a financial advisor in a major bank. So I have a lot of business under me for the last decade. And I love business. I like to think about revenue streams and how to make money, how to save money for clients, that kind of thing. I love customer service, how to treat people, build rapport, get to know them. And there's a lot of that can be incorporated into freelance art. There's also some stuff that I think is really important to kind of keep out of freelance art, and we'll talk about that. It'll make sense here in a minute. So I'm going to do this without editing the video. I'm just going to talk straight. So I have a couple of pictures here that you can take a look at while we're talking. So the first thing I want to talk about in business and how to run your business is remember that you have a digital footprint. Now, when I say that, a lot of people will automatically know what I'm talking about. To those of you that don't, what I mean by digital footprint is that everything that you do can be seen or read on the internet. And it's very important. I mean, everything that you put out there in social media, there are eyes upon those things, those items that you really need to keep in the back of your head that, okay, maybe my next boss is going to be reading this. Maybe my next boss will see this. What would they think of it? And that's something that I see a lot of, and I won't really name specific examples. Listen, however you want to run your business is fine by me, right? I'm a little old-fashioned. I believe in professionalism and conducting yourselves. Here in America, there's a hellstorm going on right now with politics, and I, of course, have a political opinion, but I keep that to myself as best as I can on social media. Even though it's on my personal, Facebook and things like that, I keep my opinions to myself because, someday, maybe I open my big mouth and put something out there that an employer really would disagree with, and I know that there's kind of a prejudice involved there, but let's face it, that scenario is very real. You might put something out there that somebody sees as snarky or disrespectful, or they just don't agree with, so they pass you up and somebody else gets your job. Or maybe you put pictures that are inappropriate of yourself out there. That's your prerogative. But let me tell you that there are always eyes upon you. I know that there are definitely people that are tied to the industry in concept art and Blizzard and NCSoft, Square Enix that I've run into that have commented on my work and really like some of the work. So those people are out there in the Facebook groups. They're kind of hiding. They're perusing. Actually, one of my childhood heroes that made one of my favorite games of all time was floating around on Facebook, and he friended me over a piece of art that I did, and now we're really good friends. So, imagine if that were kind of a different situation to where I'd posted something and, it was kind of negative, and he kind of frowned upon, I'd never know this guy. And maybe that'll be an opportunity to turn a friend into a client in the future. Who knows, So that's kind of what I mean by digital footprint. Keep in mind that there are eyes watching you, whether it's your personal Facebook or your personal Instagram or Twitter. Conduct yourself, and that kind of ties into number 2, which is code of conduct. Let's say that everything's going good, somebody's messaged you and they want something done. So you have a code of conduct, and the code of conduct means that whenever you're building rapport, you're kind of giving that first initial exchange of, okay, this is what I do, this is my portfolio, what do you need done? You're going back and forth and you're collaborating on ideas. This person is not your friend. This is a client of yours. You treat them with professionalism, and a lot of people will want to be your friend. And that's where it gets really tricky. So when the exchange of something of monetary value is involved, when cash or they're PayPaling you something, they now have a different set of expectations, and people will be really friendly to you and try to become your friend in order to maybe, I can't pay you on this day, I'm going to have to pay you on another day. And you almost have to be robotic in your behavior. So it's kind of a step process. You kind of do a meet and greet, whether it's over email or in person, excuse me, and The next step would be collaborating on ideas. And the third would be to maintain contact, but not really putting a lot of human emotion into it. And I know that sounds a little harsh, but it's not. Okay? These people are not your friends. I mean, later on after your work is done, whatever. You want to go have a beer. This is, that's neither here or there. But if you see a potential business venture with this client and you might be working with them in the future, then you treat them as a client. You can still be friendly. You don't have to be rude. That's not what I'm saying. But you treat them as a client. You don't treat them as your best friend. I can't go over that. Because, I mean, what's going to happen is you have that liability, right? Something goes wrong. Usually it's with money. Maybe it's, oh, well, you said that, hey, come on, just give me one edit for free, and you've edited this thing 15 times for them. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen with that. So learn how to conduct yourself in a professional manner and really just keep it at that. Like I said, just remember that. Be robotic in your behavior. And that also ties into, these are great because they all tie into each other. That ties into number 3 too, is the contract. So that's something that's going to help you with your code of conduct. You need to type up in Microsoft Word or Notepad or whatever, just a very simple contract. And I see this a lot on freelance art forums and stuff. It's, what do you charge your client? Which we will go into on number 4, but just kind of have a formula, okay? So I'll give you kind of an example. Some people do like a base pay, like, X amount of dollars for a custom art piece and then X amount hourly. And with that, you also receive 5 revisions or edits on top of that. And just keep it very simple. Personally, I do a 50% down right up front before I even touch anything. And then I send progress shots as I communicate that have watermarks that are not removable. I don't send these in PSD or anything like that to where they can go in and edit. I send very heavily watermarked images and JPEGs of them, just really low res stuff that they can't really steal the work and not ever pay you. So 50% down. That way I make sure I'm protecting my business and I'm not about to do a bunch of hard work without getting payment for it. And then I get the rest upon completion. Right? I complete the art. I say, hey, I'm done. You've used all your edits, or maybe we don't have to edit this at all. What do you think? They say, okay, this looks good. I say, okay. Then I send you the real file when you finish paying me. And there's a no refund thing. This is my time. I'm taking my time, hours and hours and hours out of the day to paint this custom art piece for you. And again, it's a very robotic thing. It sounds mean, but it's not. It's how you conduct yourself as a businessman or a businesswoman. You're just a very matter-of-fact attitude, and you can be friendly about it too. But I would heavily, I would not condone the usage of emojis and things like this. You can be friendly and professional without having to go into that and kind of devalue yourself, which also kind of ties into number 4. You're going to get tired of hearing that. So the value, and what I mean by value is value yourself. So a lot of people will be like, well, I don't do the freelance art thing. I haven't had a big commission, so I'll do this work for free. So doing free work is a very conflicting thing for a couple of reasons. First off, when you do free work, it's free. People don't really tend to be bossy when you do free work. I've seen nothing but appreciation whenever I've done a couple of things for some friends before I started getting better at my artwork. And a couple of those have actually come back down the road and they've been like, hey man, you helped me out, here's $30. So there's that. So just keep in mind that if you do free work, it's just that it's free. I'm not saying that somebody's not going to get the best of my abilities if I do free work, but I'm kind of at a different phase now. I've done commissions and I'm kind of done doing free work. But value yourself. So when a client comes to you and they're like, so what do you charge for whatever? Let's say a character with 3 different outfits, some kind of concept. It's important to kind of stop right there and take some time and figure out what they want, but also ask yourself, what would I pay for my abilities? So a couple things go into that. First off, the client is coming to you for a very specific reason. They need something done that they are not able to do, and they see something inside your work that they very much enjoy. So keep that in mind, but don't let it get into your head too much. Once again, it's just a business transaction. So you ask yourself, what would I pay for my work? If I didn't know how to draw and I saw my artwork on a portfolio, what would I pay this person? Would I think that maybe, $400 for this job is too absurd? But in the same hand, these people will sometimes pay really good money for really good work. So keep that in mind. What I would do is I would start out low. If you have low experience, then factor that into the price maybe. Beyond that, you want to get a couple of those under your belt and then start raising your prices, because you're going to get better, and now you have more experience. And I'm not saying be out of reach. You obviously want to have reasonable prices and work with people. For example, there's been a couple of times where I've given somebody a quote and they've been like, that's way too expensive. And I'm like, well, let me hit you back with this. I'll let you make payments. You can make payments on the rest of the 50%. And they're like, oh yeah, that's really good. Or some people just don't ever respond. And it's kind of like weeding out just clients that aren't going to work for you. They can go to another beginner artist maybe and get their work done, or maybe an artist that has a different kind of contract with them. But those are the things I want you to remember. Comment and leave something that you learned from this, because I really like this side of the art world. Now remember that drawing and getting better is just half of the job. If you want to be a freelance artist, nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to come in here and just automatically say, hey, we want to hire you. There's always some kid that's kicking your butt. I promise you, there's always some kid that's hit all the YouTube tutorials. He's got the money. His parents have bought him the courses. Maybe it's a guy in college. There's just always somebody that's going to be better than you. So just kind of keep that in mind. I really don't know where I was going with that, but crap, I kind of lost train of thought. Anyway, whatever. Just let me know what you thought of this. I hope that it was helpful. Oh yeah, that's where I was going to go. Business is 50% of the art. So if you are 100%, that's where I was going with this. If you're 100% like an amazing artist, nobody's going to come and just and notice you without you putting yourself out there. So remember that you can be like the best artist in the planet, and you can kind of disobey all of these, and it's not going to help you out in the end. You know what I mean? You can be the best artist and people are still going to want to know that you work well with others. They want to know that you can conduct yourself. They want to know that you can be professional. So keep that in mind. I'm so glad I remembered my thought. I thought it was escaped. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thumbs up the video, comment what you've learned, or if you have any suggestions or any questions, then just feel free to ask. And we'll see you next time.